Well, that's our focus this morning, where we start off with, and we're joined by Dr. Oby Ezekwesili, who is the Co-Convener of the Bring Back Our Girls Group. Morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, a lot of focus on the Chibok girls, where the president did say yesterday they've got no clue whatsoever about the whereabouts of Chibok girls. Now, this comes even in the light of recent activity of the military. They've combed Sambisa Forest, and where everybody thought maybe they just might see, but he says no clue whatsoever. Does this shatter the hopes for your group?
It certainly does strike us as a very worrisome turn of events, considering that today is the 626 since our Chibok girls were abducted. It is the 606 since we commenced our advocacy by having daily gathering at the Unity Fountain, as well as some of the other capitals in the country. For us, that remark about lack of credible intelligence on where the girls are, even at this time, is shockingly a signal of the fact that the collapse of the institutions of the nation state that we call Nigeria is deeper than any one of us could ever have imagined and been comfortable to live with. I do not, for the life of me, understand how it is possible that we cannot tread and follow trail of what exactly happened to over 200 children, 219 to be precise, that went to school. There is no country, no matter how impoverished it is, that should, or by 625 days, not have some pieces of information as to what happened to just one citizen, not to talk of 219 of them.
One wonders, I think some of the last times that you met with authorities there, you consistently did ask for communication in terms of what they're doing, if there's any information whatsoever with the search for the girls. Were you briefed or given any sort of information before this presidential charge that there's been no clue whatsoever about the whereabouts of the girls?
You recall that July 8th, we had a meeting with the president. That must have been a couple of months after his inauguration, May 29th. We were in the company of the parents of our Chibok girls, some of their representatives, as well as the leaders of the Chibok community. And at that meeting with the president, he did indicate that he was very strong on the necessity to do everything to rescue our Chibok girls, and that he was pledging to the parents, the community, as well as our movement, that his government would exhaust all options possible to seeing that our Chibok girls, as well as other citizens of the country in captivity of Boko Haram, would be found and rescued. And after that, the movement, as well as the community, sent a reminder notice we sent a reminder notice to the government laying out the various items that the government needed to work on, especially in terms of a system of frequent communication to the parents of our Chibok girls and their community. We subsequently waited for a feedback on the institutionalizing of the systems that we had requested for. We in fact call them the ABC of our demands. And then we did not hear back from government. And so in November, I had a meeting with the vice president and raised the matters again and said, based on the fact that President Buhari, in his inauguration address, had clearly stated that there would not be a consideration that we have defeated Boko Haram as a country without the rescue of our Chibok girls, and then given the pledge that they were going to exhaust all remedies to find them, and then made a categorical declaration that December 31st, which is today, would be the milestone or the date set for defeating Boko Haram. For us as a movement, for the parents and for the community, that gave a time to work with. We continued with our sit-out, waiting on this pledge to be realized. Today is the day that we expected that pledge to be realized. Yesterday was not good at all, because it means that the statement and the pledge that the president made is not materializing. We are having a special sit-out tomorrow together with the community of Chibok that will help us convey the message of the community, of the parents, of the movement, and the specific things that we request of our government. The government must be seen to do beyond and to go beyond the call of duty. The parents of our Chibok girls have no closure. They simply have no closure. And as far as we can tell, the world that came to Nigeria to support us, the US came, Britain, France, China, Israel, Canada, Australia, many countries came to support us in the instant that the noise of citizens that these girls needed to be found. What was it that we missed at that time that meant we cannot have a trail of where our Chibok girls are? What did we miss? What is it about the failure of intelligence that we are on day 625 saying we have no credible intelligence whatsoever? I do recall that May 26th of 2014, the then Chief of Defense Staff, Alex Badi, had spoken out publicly and said that they had cited our Chibok girls and that they were weighing their options on how to find the girls. Can we not map on the basis of technology, human intelligence, and every capability that is available not just to our nation, but to all the nations of the earth, led by the United Nations as a platform for them to gather? Can we not map what exactly happened? How can it be that we do not even know what happened, what happened to one of the 219 of these girls? The way that I see it is that we must not give ourselves any rest. Nothing excuses the fact that 219 children of Nigeria disappeared while all of us are still alive. And we moved on with life as though it were normal. The only way you can avoid recurrence of tragedies of this kind in any society is to say, never again, by placing on yourself the necessity to declare that it is an abomination that would not be acceptable to the living beings of that society. And it is the government that has that responsibility.
All right,
and I speak on behalf of the Bring Back Our Girls movement to say that we expect much more than what we have heard.
All right, I mean, some of the instances you've cited, the countries that came to, well, at least offer to help at the time with intelligence to help us locate the missing girls. And now they've come some as we have Some of the suspected members of the Boko Haram in custody who we believe may have been questioned by the authorities, some of them also in court. And if, after all of this, no clue, no credible intelligence whatsoever about the occasion, what do you then say to those who are now beginning to question whether or not the girls were abducted in the first instance?
Well, you know, all I would say to them is to go and face Reverend Enoch, whose 2 children are missing, and say to him, your children are a mirage. They never existed. They should go and face Mama Hawa and tell her that Hawa, it was a mirage, that it was just a scam. You know, I really cannot find any part in my humanity that can connect to the kinds of things I've sometimes heard since those girls were abducted.
Let's see if we can get
anyone who followed my engagement on the matter of our Chibok girls, we know that the 15th of April was when the news broke. And it broke on my own Twitter timeline. It broke through the BBC report. And when I saw it, I said to them, is this verified? And then the next thing was, I put it out and said, this story about over 200 children abducted, can it possibly be true? I hope it is not true. From that 15th, I spent a lot of my time probing, trying to call attention, because I was guided by how I felt terrible that 59 young men had previously, 2 months before the Chibok girls tragedy, been slaughtered and burnt, and their shared remains were put in a video clip and sent around to traumatize our citizens. And I said, God forbid that we're faced with a situation where these terrorists are ultimately winning their campaign that education is an abomination. I said, no, we can't just behave as if we've not heard that over 200 children were abducted. And so I stayed on this matter.
Just allow me comment
Anyone
here.
should know
I hope
that
you can hear us.
Evidence is critical to what I pursue. I wanted that evidence. When the Chibok community provided the evidence of the parents whose children had been abducted, I don't know what else any one of us would be debating, whether those girls are real or not real. What exactly are we debating?